1993, I travelled to the Philippines to live in a shanty house for 3 weeks and live among the poor. And I spent my days visiting bamboo shacks with open sewers running between the houses. Before this time, I'm not going to lie, people in extreme poverty really scared me. I found it impossible to watch news stories of extreme famine with thousands of starving people. I found it difficult because I just found it too overwhelming. I couldn't see what I could do to help so many people. And the not helping made me feel bad too. But I learnt something so valuable on that trip to the Philippines. We were looking for a man we wanted to talk to. Our guide led us to the beach near a fishing port, only you couldn't see the beach because hundreds of people had built bamboo houses on stilts about 15 feet in the air. Their toilet was a hole in the floor, so sewage and rubbish ended up covering the whole beach below. When we found the house we were looking for, I was shocked to find a small baby and a couple of toddlers without any adult supervision. Why would their parents leave these children in such a dangerous place, I thought to myself. A day later, I met the father of the children. He was so embarrassed that we'd found his children like that. He told me through tears that he worked in a factory, earning the equivalent of about £2 a week. For scale, a sack of rice at the time cost £17. He told me that his wife was so desperate to escape poverty, she'd gone to Singapore to get a much better paid job so she could send money back to them. However, when she got there, she discovered that the company demanded that she pay back the cost of her flight and accommodation. So it would be some time before she could send anything of significance back to the family. Obviously, I had a lot more than the cost of some food for this family in my pocket. I was there for 3 weeks after all. We provided the man with some funds to feed his children and himself, and to meet a few other costs, a few other needs. On that day, I learned an important lesson. I can't personally solve the problems of the whole world, but I can make a whole world of difference to one person or one family. I can give them something. I'm glad to tell you that I met that same family 2 years later. This time the mother was back. The whole family looked well, the kids were happy. The mum had returned from Singapore and they'd moved to a rural area and started a small rural church. They still lived in a bamboo house, but not in the middle of a crowded shanty town above an open sewer. They lived on an idyllic green plot shaded by palm trees. They'd grown a small congregation of locals and led their small community of faith. It was meeting that family in the Philippines that led me to set up RSVP Trust. And one of the things we've been doing for the last 30 years is helping people in poverty, mostly in Africa, mostly in Rwanda. In our Bible reading today, 5,000 people are hanging out with Jesus and his mates when it's getting late. The disciples ask if they should send the people away to find food. But Jesus says something, and it's important because I think he's still saying it today to us right now. He says, you give them something to eat. I think that whenever we pray for the poor, Jesus answers the same. You give them something to eat. Often I just skip the prayer bit and just try and help because I know this will be God's answer. He's teaching us a new lifestyle. How to be a good human 101. You give them something to eat. We've just sent £500 to Rwanda. It's a tiny amount in trying to erase poverty, but £300 got 100 people covered for medical care. That left 200. We spent that on food A drop in the ocean, you may think. But for the people getting fed for the next few days, it's a miracle. Sometimes people need a mattress or some bedding. Sometimes they need food. Sometimes they need medical help. I'm just some old bloke with no money, but I still hear the voice of Jesus saying, "You give them something to eat." Thankfully, we have some wonderful supporters at RSVP. Some give £5 or £10 or so each month. Some give £100. But together, we are making a huge difference to people's lives. Over the last 30 years, we have transformed communities, building a school, a home for orphans, feeding thousands of people, sending medical equipment for a hospital, helping women escape the sex trade, educating a generation of kids, feeding street boys, and helping the local community transform and recover from the days of genocide. The stream of poverty seems endless, but Jesus never tires of saying, "You give them something to eat." If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button and the little bell icon, and you'll get notifications of new videos. And I'll see you next time for another Word for the Week.